Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions. Let me tell you how a 4-digit hotel room number ruined my marriage before breakfast. Room 418. That number is now etched into my brain like a scar. It showed up in a push notification on my phone at exactly 7:12 a.m. while I was brushing my teeth and deciding whether to pack leftover lasagna or just skip lunch. Your e-receipt from Hotel de Lunes, room 418. Checkout scheduled, Friday, 11 a.m. Except I hadn't booked any hotel. Not in Paris. Not anywhere. And the email wasn't even addressed to me. It was forwarded by mistake. From my wife's account. To mine. Apparently, she'd used our shared Google login without realizing I still had access to her auto-forward settings. She was supposed to be at a wellness retreat with no signal. She had made a big scene about needing space, time to find herself, time to disconnect. Her exact words, not mine. But I guess disconnecting includes booking a king suite with a balcony view of the Eiffel Tower. And a second guest, because when I clicked the receipt, I saw it. 2 guests. 1 bed. No names, of course. Just 2 breakfasts included. 1 betrayal confirmed. I didn't call. I didn't text. I replied to the forwarded message with 1 line. Enjoy your view. The only thing waiting for you at home is a divorce. Then I blocked her. That should have been it. Closure. Cold. Final. But then, her parents showed up at my door. And they weren't holding luggage. They were holding her second phone. The one I didn't know existed. Her father was holding it like it was radioactive. A sleek, black smartphone I'd never seen before, scuffed in one corner, with a pink floral case that didn't match anything my wife owned. He handed it to me without saying a word, just stared at me with this dull, defeated look, like he already knew what I'd find and hated himself for delivering it. Her mother? She couldn't even make eye contact. She stood back, arms crossed, face stiff and pale, like she'd aged 5 years since the last time I saw her. She didn't come inside, just lingered by the door like she couldn't bear to be part of what was about to happen. The phone wasn't locked. No passcode. No fingerprint. Just a swipe up, and there it was. Messages, photos, notes, apps. All of it. She had named the guy Lars Airplane France in her contacts. Every message between them was still there. And I read them. All of them. I wish I hadn't. I really do. But you know how that goes. Once you start, you can't stop. Even when every word feels like glass in your throat. They've been talking for months. Since July. Meeting in hotels. Scheduling secret flights. Code names. Inside jokes. One message even said, "He still thinks I'm in Maine, LOL. You owe me wine when I fake jet lag again," face with tears of joy red heart. I had to put the phone down. I felt like I was going to throw up. Her father sat across from me at the kitchen table, silent. When I looked at him, really looked at him, I realized he wasn't just ashamed. He was grieving, like he had lost her already. "She told us she was working on herself," he finally said. His voice was gravel. "She asked us not to contact you. She said she needed space." I nodded, but I couldn't even speak. My throat was tight. Then he said something I wasn't expecting. "You weren't the first husband." I blinked. "What?" "She was married before," he said. "Briefly. Overseas. She never told you, did she?" No. No, she did not. Apparently, in her early 20s, she married some art dealer in Italy. It was annulled in less than a year. Her parents swore it was a reckless decision, an impulsive whirlwind thing. But now, years later, standing in my kitchen, it suddenly didn't feel like a fluke. It felt like a pattern. He left the phone on the table and walked out without another word. Her mom followed, never saying a thing. The door closed quietly behind them, like they'd rehearsed it. I sat there for 2 more hours, just staring at the phone. I didn't touch it, didn't open it again. I couldn't. But then, the screen lit up. New message, Lars Airplane France. Still awake, mon amour? Last night was unreal. Ready for round 2? That's when I realized this wasn't over. Because now, I wasn't just a betrayed husband. I was a man holding evidence. And suddenly, I wanted answers. Real answers. The moment I saw Lars' message pop up again, something inside me snapped. Not with rage. Not with some big dramatic yell, or throwing the phone across the room like in a movie. No, I just became cold, detached, focused. Like my brain was switching from husband mode to investigator mode, and every lie she'd ever told was now a puzzle I could solve. I didn't reply to him. I didn't touch the messages at all. Instead, I turned the phone sideways and opened the photo app. I scrolled through the recent gallery, and of course, there they were, her and Lars. On rooftops, in cafes, in bed, mirror selfies, half-dressed. One photo was time-stamped 2 nights ago, the same night she told me she was reconnecting with nature under the stars. She wasn't even bothering to hide it anymore. But what really got me was a small folder labeled Cloud Archive. It was synced to a personal Google Drive account I didn't know she had. She must have thought this second phone was separate enough that she didn't need to worry about me ever finding it. She was wrong. Inside that archive were months of exported text conversations. Not just with Lars, with 2 other men. One of them, judging by the tone, was long distance. Some crypto investor in Dubai who called her his midnight muse. Another one she referred to only as G. And his messages were full of hotel confirmations and meeting spots that matched receipts I'd seen on our credit card bill. One she told me were business expenses for her freelance work. Freelance work. I nearly laughed out loud. What freelance work? I scrolled deeper. There was even a spreadsheet. She'd actually created a spreadsheet where she tracked who had sent her money, what gifts she'd received, and what she owed in return. Literal columns with headers like name, city, payment, next meeting, and cover story. There was a tab labeled Risk Level and another labeled Emergency Exit Plans. It didn't feel like I was reading my wife's personal files anymore. It felt like I was digging through a playbook, a survival manual for a double life. And I'd been the fool funding the background. She didn't just betray me. She built a system for it, a strategy. But here's the kicker, and this is when my blood ran cold. Deep in that same folder, I found a recording, audio only. It was just labeled Tuesday Dinner. I pressed play. I recognized her voice immediately, laughing, talking in French. Then Lars' voice, thick accent, slightly slurred, probably wine drunk. I listened to 5 minutes of small talk, flirtation, and then her voice dropped. I think he's getting suspicious. But it doesn't matter. He's too soft. He'll get emotional, maybe cry, but he won't do anything drastic. My hands were shaking, but I kept listening. Then she said this. If he finds out, I'll just say it's trauma. Or confusion. He always falls for that. He wants to fix people. I'll let him think he's fixing me one last time. Then I'll leave. Or maybe get him to leave if it gets messy. I paused the audio. The quiet after that sentence was deafening. My own wife, the woman I once thought was sensitive, damaged, artistic, deep, had been studying me, calculating how I'd react, predicting my emotional fragility like it was a card she could play whenever she needed out. And she was right. I was the fixer, the helper, the guy who forgave too easily and avoided conflict. I didn't scream. I didn't cheat back. I didn't rage post online. I just folded inward. But not this time. Because the next message I sent, it wasn't to her. It was to Lars. I didn't overthink it. I just typed, "Hey, this is her husband. We need to talk." I sent it to Lars from her phone. I didn't expect a reply, maybe some denial, or maybe silence. But he answered in under 30 seconds. "You're joking." I followed with, "Check the contact photo. This isn't a joke." A full minute passed. Then, "Okay, I didn't know she was married. She told me you were some controlling ex she couldn't get rid of." That stung. Hard. Because that lie didn't just explain away my existence. It rewrote me. Turned me into some shadow in the background of her life. An obstacle. A ghost she blamed when the lies didn't line up. "How long?" I asked. He answered, "Since September. Met in Barcelona. I was there on business." She said she was traveling to get away from an abusive divorce. I froze. Divorce? We weren't even separated. I realized she'd been wearing 2 faces. The wounded artist escaping heartbreak, and the calm wife telling me she needed solo time for self-care. I asked Lars to send me anything that could prove it. He did. Screenshots. Voice notes. Even a selfie they took inside our car. My car. That she must have lent him while I was at work. That was it. My breaking point. Not the cheating. Not the money. Not the lies. The car. That was mine. That was in my name. That had our insurance, our GPS logs, our baby photos in the glove box from a pregnancy we never carried to term. She let him drive that like it meant nothing. And suddenly, I wasn't just the abandoned husband anymore. I was the idiot whose life was being rewritten while everyone else got a starring role in the new version. And the scariest part? I still didn't know what she was planning next. The first message came 2 days later. Short. Cold. like a stranger reaching out about a lost item. Can we talk? I didn't respond. I was in the middle of disconnecting her from our accounts, canceling joint credit cards, changing passwords, shutting down anything with both our names on it. And while I worked, Lars kept sending screenshots, more conversations, more voice notes, more of her manipulations. Turns out she told him we met on a dating app, got married too quickly, and I became obsessive, controlling, emotionally distant, jealous for no reason. She painted herself as some survivor of my darkness. I don't know what shocked me more, the lies themselves, or how detailed they were. Like she'd rehearsed them, like she believed them. When I didn't answer, she tried again. I know you found the phone. I'm sorry. It's not what you think. Classic. Then, I didn't want to hurt you. I just needed to escape everything. The pressure, the guilt. It was never about you. I could almost hear her voice in that one. That passive, poetic tone she used whenever she wanted to justify something awful. She'd used it when she maxed out our savings on a spiritual retreat last year. When she accidentally erased all the photos from my late mother's birthday. She had a way of making every selfish act sound like an emotional emergency. But then, the tone changed. You're making this worse. Lars is freaking out. You had no right to contact him. Oh, there it was. Not regret, damage control. I didn't reply. I wanted her to feel silence. To feel the same eerie void I felt reading those voice notes. The ones where she laughed about manipulating me. Where she said she could get me to forgive her if she just cried at the right moment. She tried again an hour later. You don't know the full story. You're only seeing the ugly pieces. There's more to this. She still thought she could spin it. She still believed I'd sit there like I always had, waiting for the full context that never came, hoping she'd finally tell the truth if I was just calm enough. But I wasn't calm. I wasn't angry either. I was done. So I waited until the next day. And then I did something I don't regret at all. I sent her one photo. No words. Just an image. It was Lars, sitting in my kitchen, drinking my coffee, holding her second phone. Taken 5 minutes before. Because now, she wasn't the only one who knew how to play this game. She landed on a Thursday afternoon. I knew because I tracked her flight. Not out of desperation, not anymore, but because I needed to be prepared. I didn't want a surprise knock on the door while I was still piecing together the last 6 years of my life. She didn't text. She didn't call. But at exactly 6:47 p.m., I saw headlights pull into the driveway. Not our car, not a rental, a black Tesla. Someone else was driving her. I watched through the blinds as she stepped out. Hair done, new coat, heels. No suitcase, just a slim purse, and that look she always wore when she wanted to control the temperature of a room. She didn't come to the front door. She walked around back, like it was her house, like nothing had changed. I unlocked the sliding door before she could knock, and we stood there, face to face, for the first time since her Paris message. She looked older, or maybe just tired. Her eyes were searching, trying to read me the way she always did. I gave her nothing. Can we talk inside? She asked. No, I said. She smiled like it was a game. Okay, I deserve that. Then she said the line that almost broke me. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how. That sentence. I've heard variations of it 100 times now. I didn't know how. It wasn't the right time. I didn't want to hurt you. But this wasn't about fear. This was about timing. She didn't come back because she regretted anything. She came back because she found out Lars and I had spoken. She came back because her web was collapsing. I want to explain, she said. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me, and stood with her in the cold. You already did, I replied. In every message, every recording, every photo, you explained everything, whether you meant to or not. She didn't argue, but her expression changed. Not shame, not sadness. Calculation. Then she said something I never expected. You went through my cloud account? That's a violation of privacy. I laughed, out loud, and I think that rattled her more than if I'd screamed. That's your problem? I said, that I found the truth, not that you buried it. She crossed her arms. You weren't supposed to see that. It wasn't meant for you. That's the thing, I said. None of this was. This whole life we built, it wasn't for me. It was set dressing. A safe place to keep your mask while you played tourist in other people's lives. She blinked, and for a split second, I saw something flicker. Not regret, not guilt. Fear. Because she knew this version of me was not the man she left behind. But she still had one move left. She reached into her purse and pulled out a thin yellow envelope. She handed it to me like a peace offering. "I'm pregnant," she said. "It's yours." I didn't take it at first. She held the yellow envelope between two fingers like it was a gift, like this single piece of paper could undo the betrayal, the lies, the second phone, the fake retreats, the 3 other men. "You're pregnant," I repeated. "Yes," she said, eyes steady. "And it's yours." The way she said it, calm, intentional, almost like a final card in a long game of poker. I could see it in her face. She thought this was checkmate, that no matter how angry or hurt I was, I'd never walk away from a child. Not my child. And she was right about one thing. I did hesitate, because I wanted to believe it. Somewhere, buried under all the fury and disgust, there was still that version of me, the man who used to imagine being a dad with her. Late-night drives to the pharmacy, tiny shoes lined up by the door, reading to someone small with her curls and my laugh. But I wasn't that man anymore. Not since the receipts. Not since the voice notes. Not since Lars in my kitchen. So I took the envelope. Opened it. Ultrasound image. 9 weeks. A printed report with her name on it. Clinic logo. All of it looked real. Too real. "You're 9 weeks along," I said, checking the date. She nodded. "And that means conception around early September?" She nodded again. "That's funny," I said, "because you weren't even here that week." Her face twitched, barely, but I caught it. A half-second delay in her expression, the smallest hint of panic, like a liar forgetting her own timeline. "You were in Barcelona," I added. "With Lars. I have the hotel receipt." Her confidence cracked. She tried to recover, reaching for a new angle. "I didn't sleep with anyone else that week." I smiled without warmth. "You forgot I have the messages. You sent him a voice note thanking him for the best 3 nights of your life. Want me to play it for you?" She didn't speak. Not at first. Then her voice dropped to a whisper. "You're just trying to disprove it because you don't want it to be yours." I shook my head. "No, I'm disproving it because you've turned lying into an art form." And still, some part of me needed certainty. Because if there was even a 1% chance, I needed to know. So I said the only thing I could. "DNA test. Or we're done here." That's when she finally lost it. The calm shattered. The mask cracked. Her face twisted, not into sorrow or regret, but fury. Pure, entitled fury. "I came back to give you a second chance," she hissed. "To rebuild this. To raise a family." "No," I said quietly. "You came back because the other ones ran out of money or patience. You're not here to rebuild. You're here to salvage." For a moment, she just stood there, breathing hard. And then she said it. The one line that proved everything. "I don't need you. I never did. I just didn't want to start over again with someone new." And there it was. The real her. Not the crying wife. Not the lost artist. Just the strategist. Cold. Controlled. Always thinking one move ahead. Except this time, she miscalculated. Because I had already started over. And she wasn't part of it. She left the next morning. No dramatic goodbye. No final apology. She packed what little she'd left behind into the same duffel bag she used for those fake yoga retreats and walked out the front door like she hadn't detonated 6 years of marriage behind her. I watched from the kitchen window. She didn't look back. The DNA test never happened. A few days later, Lars confirmed what I already suspected. She told him she was pregnant too. 2 days before she told me. Same story, different man. Turns out the clinic report was real, but the dates were vague on purpose. She'd edited the header in Photoshop. Sloppy job. Didn't even match the font. And that was the last lie she ever told me. It's been 6 weeks since then. I've moved out of the house. Too many memories, too much noise in the walls. I signed the divorce papers without blinking. No drama. No games. Just a clean break. I won't lie to you. The first week was hell. But the second? Felt like air. Like oxygen rushing into lungs I didn't realize had been clenched for years. I started journaling. Reconnected with old friends. Signed up for a photography class I'd put off for years. It's wild how much time you have when you're not chasing someone who's already gone. And here's the truth I learned the hard way. Sometimes the worst betrayal doesn't come from a stranger. It comes from the person who studied your every weakness and used them all against you. But when you finally see that clearly, really see it, you stop blaming yourself. You stop fixing. You start walking. And damn, does that feel good. If you've made it this far, thanks for listening to my story. I shared it not for sympathy, but because I know someone out there needs to hear it. Maybe you've been lied to. Maybe you're still waiting for that fake apology. Maybe you're wondering if you're crazy for trusting someone who made you feel small. You're not crazy. You just love the wrong person too well. But the right life? It's still out there. Now it's your turn. What's the biggest betrayal you've ever witnessed? Or the moment you finally walked away? Drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about it. You're not alone. And don't forget, this is Reddit Confessions.